Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock. It's time to begin our meeting. We'll call it to order. We will have the pledge of allegiance after we have our invocation. And is Robert's not here?
Robert's not here.
Well, who would like to?
Chief Hay, would you like to do the invocation for us?
I can try.
Okay.
Please stand. And after the invocation, Scout Ben will lead us in our pledge of allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to thank you for everything you've given us. I pray, Lord, that you look after the people in this room, you look after this town, you look after this state, look after this great nation that we live in. Heavenly Father, I pray that any decision and every decision made tonight is for the best of this city and the best for the citizens of this town. In your Son's heavenly name, amen. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The clerk, please call the roll.
Granberry? Present. Mr. Davis? Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. White?
Here.
Ms. Blankenship? Ms. Blankenship absent. So it's 4 members present, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Okay, first item on the agenda is the approval, corrections of minutes from the prior meeting of September 19, 2017. We have those meetings before you. Are there any corrections or additions to it?
Mayor, on page 3 in the second paragraph, that says that Mr. White wants to make sure that the church has been contacted about his modification. I think it should say this.
Up at the top, okay.
Okay, typo.
We can make that change.
Yeah, it's just typo.
We'll make that change.
With that change, move approval.
The motion has been duly made and seconded that we accept the minutes as received with one correction, typo on that. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The minutes are approved. Item 5, awards, presentations, appointments. A is the swearing in of police officers. This time I'd ask the chief to come and bring his 2 officers to be sworn in and go through that ceremony, please.
Mayor and Commission, I'd like to present Mr. Peyton Holly, Officer Bajan Trimble. Both officers come to us with experience in law enforcement. Both have worked in the city of Columbia. Officer Trimble has worked in Greenbrier as well. They're both well experienced officers, and I look forward to working with them.
Okay. Just raise your right hand. I, just state your name,
Peyton Holly,
do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I have all the qualifications
that I have all the qualifications
named in the charter of the city of Mount Pleasant
named in the charter of the city of Mount Pleasant
for the office of a member of the police department
for the office of a member of the police department
of the city of Mount Pleasant,
of the city of Mount Pleasant,
which I am about to assume,
which I am about to assume,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States and of the state of Tennessee,
of the United States and the state of Tennessee,
that I will comply with and observe
that I will comply with and observe
the provisions of the charter
the provisions of the charter
of the city of Mount Pleasant
of the city of Mount Pleasant
and the ordinances of the city of Mount Pleasant,
and the ordinances of the city of Mount Pleasant,
and I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, I've known you since you was a little boy. I'm getting, not unfortunate for you, but unfortunately, I'm getting that much. He had a fine father.
Yes, sir.
His father worked at our post office for many years here before he left the post office. I believe he ended up in Santa Fe, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he left here?
No, sir, he went to Columbia.
Columbia?
Unloaded trucks and was on the front window, let's tell you.
Oh, that's right, but didn't he move to Santa Fe?
Plastic.
Plastic, yes.
Yes, sir.
Well, he was a good man. We welcome, both of you welcome to our force. We appreciate both of you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, just a minor timeout.
Technical timeout. For our IT guys.
Okay, we'll go forward while that's being fixed. Item B, certificate of compliance for
Joseph, basically is the best way to say that.
Joe.
Mhm.
Joe, what we call Joe.
Mhm.
How do you pronounce his name, please? for the record?
Yosef Walla?
Is he here?
No, we told him he didn't need to be.
I'd like to look at him tonight.
He was here last year.
I think we need to make a recommendation that these people that are applying come to this meeting.
Okay.
It's nothing out of their way that need to be here at
Mhm.
least one time. Just eyeball it. Some of them we're not gonna know.
Mhm.
No.
No,
Give them no.
don't do that.
They gotta have certificate.
I wouldn't want to punish him for that.
No.
That's just a good.
Because we told him not to.
If it's worth getting, it's worth coming and asking for.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay?
And Mayor, his police background check came back completely cleared, so we are able to provide him with a certificate of compliance, which is required annually. So we're good to go on that.
Is this the official document here that I need to sign? You have one?
I think I have the original. Do you have the original? Oh, I have the- Did you have the original? Okay, I think I have the original.
I have a background check.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, you have before you the information on the store. It's our duty to do these if the background check is correct. Time the chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Move for adoption, second.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The verdict is unanimous, please. We'll sign that, get that to me. Item 6, completion review of any unfinished business from prior meeting. A, ordinance 2017-1010, public hearing / final reading, an ordinance to amend Title 18, Waters and Sewers, Chapter 1, Water and Sewer System Administration, Section 18-1115, Customer Billing and Payment Policy, and Title 19, Electricity and Gas, Chapter 3, Gas Station 19-308, Parentheses 5 of Municipal Code of the City of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. This is a final reading and public hearing.
And Mayor, if anybody wants to speak on this, but what this is basically doing is reducing the extension time from 2 months to 2 weeks for payment, because we're finding that once 2 months go by, we can't reach the customer anymore to pay it. This is all part of when we brought you a long, long list of write-offs. And so we're trying to reduce that, and by December, you'll have the next list of write-offs, which will be much shorter, but it had compiled over the course of years.
Is anyone in the audience here to speak for this motion, this ordinance? Is anyone here to speak against it?
And I think you said once a letter is sent out, Kate, they got 60 days, or did they have 60 days? What did they have?
No,
That's the
that's
other one.
something from last time that we passed.
How long do they have on
This
this?
is basically us giving you notice that you owe.
This is what, if somebody comes in and says, oh, I need extra time to pay my bill, that'll get paid till next Friday. This gives them additional time to get that paid before without cutting their water off.
I meant to say something last Thursday, yeah, when we were doing it. you know, Mount Pleasant Power has a pay-as-you-go. Would the city like to look into that?
I don't know what pay-as-you-go means.
And I have Denise, you know.
Okay,
come-
sure.
You pay up
Actually,
front and you use, it's more of a headache because like they're going in once a week, once a day, paying light bill.
Now, my understanding is, Jacqueline, that a lot of the customers really like it.
Yeah, the customers like it.
And I guess Mount Pleasant Power,
We're certainly willing to look at it.
Actually, when I worked at the electric system in Lewisburg, we had that, and a lot of what we run into is, one time a year you have what they call a true-up, and sometimes that true-up hits the customer pretty hard. Well, in other words, you pay the way it worked there was
It's like budget billing and all.
it was a budget billing, yeah, and you paid it every month the same amount, and then once a year, you had kind of a true-up, and sometimes.
But pay-as-you-go is different than the budget building.
Oh.
It's two separate programs.
Yep.
The pay-as-you-go, you put down a deposit, say you put down $50. Well, they send you an email when you know your money's almost up, and you got to come in and pay more money.
Okay, so they're paying in
So they're
advance.
really paying as they go in advance, yes.
Paying in
but I
advance.
mean,
We'll ask Denise for her policy.
so you will ask her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, it's something we can certainly look into.
But this is simply
this is
changing
not-
the
Okay.
extension period.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we will follow up with them.
This changes that point, because what we found was that once that, if we give them 2 months, an additional 2 months, by the end of that time, they're gone.
Yeah.
A lot
Plus
of them.
that, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that
I'm sure
obviously do.
a lot of them, once they decide to go, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that day, they're gone.
Yeah, but what we're doing though is, they're still using that water for that extra 2 months. So not only do we not collect that month that we gave them the
Oh, okay,
extension on,
okay. Okay, I got it.
it compounds.
Okay. It's not that they just leave it in.
Right.
Okay. I'll make a motion, Mayor, in favor of ordinance 2017-10.
Motion been made in favor of this ordinance. Is a second, please?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion, ordinance is passed. Okay. B, ordinance 2017-1011, public hearing / final reading, an ordinance to amend Title 8, Chapter 1 and 2 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code relating to intoxicating liquor and beer.
And Mayor and Commissioners, this is also a public hearing for final reading. We did talk with the Presbyterian Church, and we did get approval to move forward on reducing the 500 feet to 250 feet. Commissioner Davis brought up a good point in conversation with Corey and I about looking at possibly getting, I guess the term you used was possibly a waiver if the church wanted to waive that responsibility, so that it wasn't really on the city, it was on more of the church saying it was okay. And Corey's going to need some more time to research that, and I don't think that this business has any problem with it getting continued on until the next month. But if there's anything I'm not saying correctly, Mr. Davis, you can...
Could you explain that to me?
My thinking, Jim, I didn't want, I guess, just one church or whatever to have the say-so for the rest of the churches. If there's somebody in this area, you know, that when we drop it down from 500 to 250. Because I was thinking even like Main Street, but I realized Main Street, you know, is lower than that. But if somebody went to 251, you know, and I just didn't know, you know, but
You have the right to increase it or do it. It's strictly at the will of this board, the way I understand the law.
Oh, no.
Strictly.
Once they have a license, once you have lowered it, that's the number that.
But you can raise it to the next one. You can't take it away from them, but you can raise that. You can play with that thing up and down. I've seen it done.
I don't like
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
I don't want to do it. We
According
can't
to
do it
this
legally.
class I just went through, you're setting yourself up for a lawsuit, you cannot do that. according to the meeting class that y'all sent me to for the last 3 days, when you drop this, anybody else that come along that you did not approve, can come along and sue
You
you.
can raise that and lower
You want
that.
the book?
Especially
You want
this
the
board.
book?
You can, but you are setting yourself up for, so I just, it's worth
Setting yourself up for a
some
lawsuit.
additional research, for
Well,
sure.
You probably are setting yourself up for a lawsuit, but according to the law.
You can do it.
Unless it's changed, you can change that up and down. You cannot, it's not good business. And that's the thing, and I will always caution the people, be sure this is what you want to do when you do it, because once you grant it, you can't take it away from that person. But now the next one comes in, if this board changes or whatever, they may not have the same, you don't have the same thing with liquor, but you do with beer.
Corey, what is the process for putting off the vote for the second reading, and do you also put off another public hearing?
I think he could, or Mr. Davis or whoever could make a motion for us to look into this and...
But I mean, if the board may want to go ahead and vote for it, you know. Yeah, I mean, we can just go ahead and I'll just take, you know, I'll do my...
I just appreciate the way Kate and this group handled this, the way
Oh, I do
you
too.
contacted. For a change, it was the community actually getting to meet with the people that are making the decision or voting on those decisions. And having both of them in a room and talking it out, and I applaud y'all for how you
Of course,
handled it.
you're all suggestions, so I think it's fine. I just, if there's any other unanswered questions, I would prefer to get that resolved before you vote on it
And
for
I'm
final
good, 'cause I may
passage.
be a long vote,
In the
maybe.
absence of a newspaper, that needs to become policy and not just done. Because without a newspaper, some people never know.
Right.
So we probably need to adopt something on that at some point. We do get a newspaper here at least once a month. Newspaper, people could see it, wouldn't even know what's going on.
So Corey, understanding what Commissioner Davis's thought process is.
I would be more
We could-
comfortable if we put it off till November.
I think if you took a vote today and it approved as is and it fails, if you wanted to come back and make this additional waiver or whatever change after we did research, you'd have to start all over with 2 readings. But if we just postpone it to look further, the next reading could be the second reading.
What's the timing?
They're opening the first or second week of November, but I don't think that's a deal breaker. She has a refrigerator that is about, I mean, twice the size of a college room. We're not talking about a lot of beer,
Right.
so it's not
How
going
many
to be
beers she
huge.
wanting to sell?
Like artisan, locally microbrewed.
It's not going to be a
Yeah, and it's
store
like,
as such.
no, it can't, and that, like, the email to you said that they asked if there was presumption, on the premises consumption, absolutely not. And she has a very small refrigerator that's also gonna have Pepsi, water, and everything else, and so it's not a large part of it, she just wanted to have that part of it. So if there's any other questions that we can answer between now and November, I'd prefer to do it that way.
I mean, I'll put it in a motion, my motion may fail later, and we'll just vote. I just don't want to, myself, I just don't want to put myself...
What other churches we have, I mean, I can't think of one right off. If somebody put the old market over here, takes the old General Sessions Judge building, correct? They,
Which market?
it used to be a market on the corner of Jordan.
Oh, that's gonna be taken down. That gas station's gonna be taken
It's
down.
going to be taken down. Okay, but I can't do that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't, but I mean, it's already, I mean, I guess because of
Yes.
Methodist Church, I mean, you know, they already got the grill right there, so I mean, that wouldn't be, I just think it is, you know, we already have lowered it already. You know, that's just me.
We can do it
But,
like, just like county did, they got away with it completely. Didn't mean to, but they did. It's zero thing right now. Because they didn't act on it. They slipped through.
If there's ever questions, I would prefer to have answers to
You
those
can go ahead and
questions.
make a motion.
The state doesn't care how close you sell it.
Right.
Right, this is a requirement that the city can
Only beer,
add,
yeah.
but
Correct.
state doesn't care.
Kate, you tell me if we should postpone this until we can get further information on it. I just don't want to.
If there's any questions, I think we should wait
Okay, then
until
I
we
make
have
a
answers.
motion, we postpone this item until November meeting.
Okay. Heard a motion to defer this until the November meeting. Is there a second to that motion? Second, Mr. Davis. Further discussion? All in favor of deferral to the November meeting signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Is it unanimous? Okay.
Is that unanimous? Yes.
Okay, unanimous. That will be deferred until next month's meeting. Item 7, monthly financial budget report.
Good evening. The auditors are here working on their annual audit. They actually will be conducting their field work this week, and are scheduled to have it ready and be presented to you at the December board meeting. At this point, everything appears to be going pretty smoothly. Not a whole lot of questions, but we anticipate, I think there's going to be 3 people coming tomorrow and Thursday, where they've been just bringing 2, there's just been 2 auditors coming in, so I think they're bringing an extra person in, so I think they're trying to expedite it and get it finished. They have been working with me on we got the depreciation report ready and to them, and we are working on doing reclassifying some of the items on there and kind of cleaning it up, but that was accomplished. We're also continuing our emphasis on the collections. When we went through the list that we were turning over to the collection agency, we discovered from the collection agency that some of the rules that govern them have changed, and so more information is necessary before we actually turn it over to them. So we are currently pulling that information in order to pass that along to the collection agency, and once that's done, the whole list and all this information they're asking for will be turned over to them on those people that are over that 180-day mark. The lease agreements have been completed. They've already got the 3 cars. I'm sure that you heard that in the police report. But we've got all the lease agreement, all the documents signed, all that's finished. So we're actually kind of moving along very well. We received our engagement letters on our cost of service study for the gas and the sanitation funds. Actually got that sent to him today, so that will be starting here soon. On the, of course, you've got in your package the full financial report. You notice that the gas fund, the expenditures were a little higher due to increases in gas purchases. And again, that just points to the need for studies and get this to make sure that we are covering all the necessary costs. And one of the meetings that I've been to this month addressed that just the difficulties that Tennessee has in our utilities, in that we have to count depreciation in those cost of service studies, and that sometimes is a deterrent for us in trying to move forward with financing and other items, because it is such a large portion of the expenditures. They did bring out that point, especially with smaller systems. The larger systems can absorb it a lot easier than the smaller systems. Our cash balances are remaining steady. Our general fund checking and savings total $1,600,000. The water still remains lower. It's at $723,184, but that's just the operating account. But it has improved over past month. The gas fund has a little over 2.3 million in all of its savings and checking accounts. Do you have any questions on the report?
Getting back to the audit, now, is that our annual audit?
Yes, it is our annual audit.
All right, I know that we discussed this towards the end of last year, this year, about have we gone back and addressed the items that they found?
Yes, we did.
You know, they're gonna find something,
Yes.
that's what we pay them for.
We found more than they have, though.
I just don't like for us to get cited 2 years in a row for the same issue. They're gonna cite us for
Yes.
something, I mean, that's...
Well, that's what I was talking about with the depreciation issue, was one of those issues that was started
Okay,
last
good.
year, and we had,
All right.
we had taken care of that. So and actually, we had to do a corrective action plan, and that was something else that they mentioned in the classes I went to this past week, was the corrective action plans. The state is really getting much more particular with those plans and making sure that entities and municipalities follow through. Because you had, I've done audits where it'd be the same over and over again. I mean, years of the same findings. I had one that they just would not use purchase orders no matter what. And the state is getting much more strict in making sure that the municipalities, not only are they aware of these issues, but they address them and try to move to them. Because like all of small cities had separation of duties. You can almost, if you look at every audit report of all the small cities in Tennessee, 3/4 of them, if not more than that, would have segregation of duties issues. Well, the states that state has actually come out, not just the state, but the auditors have come out and said, there's still ways that you can get around that segregation of duty issue. There's ways that you can work. For instance, what you're doing right now is one of those ways where your legislative body looks at the reports and approves we have Mayor Bailey who looks at the report we give him on the checks that are written each week. All of those are things that small cities can do to offset that, so that you don't have that year after year after year. So the state's getting much more strict on that. And with that, the way they have of enforcing that is called grants. That's, if you continue the same thing over and over a year, you're going to be looked unfavorably when we get to getting grants, and we don't want to be in that position. Any other questions?
I make a motion, Mayor, to
Approve the report? Yes. Motion been made, and is a second to that to approve the report?
Second.
Second. Cranberry. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All like sign, that report is accepted. Item 8, monthly report from the city manager.
Mayor and Commissioners, in your packets are the reports from each department head, and that is turned into the State of the City report that will be available first of the month and online November 1st. And that does not need approval.
That's all for you.
Pardon?
That's all.
That's all I got.
Item 9, special reports from city departments or committees if applicable. Wastewater liaison report, Mount Pleasant gas system report.
We don't have a report for either. I do want you to know that I am reaching out to rural development this week to figure out the next step on funding and time frame on that. That's not in the form of a report, but I want you to be aware that I am doing that and that there is not anything for the gas system report.
For matter of the record, should we state that we're not successful on the CDBG grants? Just playing this record, I think they might.
Can't hurt, yeah.
They probably need to put that in.
Okay, so we applied for,
does hurt.
Pardon?
Does hurt.
It hurts us big time. It hurts about $1.2 million. We applied for 2 grants, one through the Murray County government for a water loss. We requested $525,000. It was not funded. We applied through the City of Mount Pleasant for sewer system improvements at the plant. Same thing, $525,000, both of which we committed matches to, of 25%, I believe, and neither of which were funded. And we've not gotten funded since 2007. I don't know if I said that wrong, but we've always been funded since 2007. So $1,250,000 hit to our budget is a big deal, and we're really working on making sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it was a pretty much disastrous thing. It was part of the plan that we had adopted to get our situation out of the hole and get off the sewer moratorium and move forward, and it was a great setback. Your city manager and myself spent a couple hours at Nashville week before last talking with the director of the City of East Grant, explained our thing and told him I wasn't done begging. But we're not going to get any money this year. I'll be glad to speak with any of you about it in private. If you want my opinion on it, what happened. But, you know, it's just one of those things that's gone this year. I think we've got some real good information. I think we've got our foot in the door. That those folks know this board now, know that what desires are, the number of indigent people that we have here that just simply can't afford to pay that $50 bill. And I think for the next year, unless the rules change unbelievably against us, we're going to get funded again.
The other grant that wasn't funded was the $100,000 for the facade improvement, which is a lot smaller, but it's a big deal to our downtown area.
Mayor, I'd like to add a little something. I guess, looking in this further, it wasn't nothing that Kate or nobody else in this city could have done.
So I appreciate that, or South Central. It was a very good grant.
It was up higher.
It happened at a higher level than here.
Yep.
And lots of things happen at higher levels that are hard to understand in the political world. Sometimes they're very political.
They didn't like it.
So, anyway, I guess that's enough about that. Are there any other questions from our city manager before we move into new business?
No, sir.
Item 10 is new business. Comments from citizens may or may not be included depending on issues.
Mayor, I'd like to suspend the rules if we could here and move E to A, and then proceed as we have it listed in our...
Discussion of the Scout Hut by Vice Mayor White. I think it's a good idea to be able to do that, and there's a second to do that. Young people want to stay out so late.
I think we put it through enough.
Might be bored once long as well. In a second.
Yeah, I do.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like to find that motion passed unanimously. Okay, how do you want to handle this, Bill?
I'll just say a few words, and then I'd ask for y'all's representative, Steve Trammell, to come forward if you don't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, about 3 years ago, the city of Mount Pleasant made a commitment to spend $4,500 on our Scout Hut located in Howard Field. That is in total disrepair, and the roof is absolutely coming off of it. What I have asked the Scout Troop to do would be to come back and request that money, at which time I would give y'all the floor and let you do it. And then I've got a few words I'd like to say afterwards, if you don't mind.
And Steve, if you would, gonna bring them up and introduce them. Yes, sir. I like to see who the young men are, the old guys too, if you want to come up.
You call those.
I do have pictures, but they're on my laptop, and I wasn't able to get them off so I could share them. But I'll just set that up there if you want to look at them. You're welcome to. This is about a third of our troop, and we've been meeting there, like you said, for about 3 years, a little under 3 years. And in fact, I think December, I think, is when we moved in. So we have been very grateful. It's been a wonderful place for us to meet, and the boys just love it. There's actually electricity and gas, which our previous Scout Hut did not have. So we have really enjoyed being there, and it's been a great place for us to learn new things and build our troop. But we recognize that this Scout Hut is a
a resource, an asset for the city and the community, and just wanted to kind of formally bring it to your attention that it is in some need of work. The Scout hut's roof really is just, it's come apart with the last big windstorm we had in the summer. Part of the roof is already coming off. The rafter system is rotting from the inside out, and we've had a lot of rainwater that comes through. Some of the siding where it's a log cabin, and so where you fill in between the logs is coming apart. We can do minor cosmetic things like painting. We've redone the symbol on the front door, but it's major structural work. We just obviously cannot do that, even from a standpoint of it doesn't belong to us. So we just want to come to you and say, thank you so much for the use of this, but we would really like to see this be continuing to be of use to future generations of the community and Scouts that are going to be coming along. So we'd appreciate any consideration that you can do.
How many members do you have?
We've got about 12, and everybody's there. So it kind of obviously fluctuates up and down. People.
No girls, nothing like that?
We do not have any young ladies that are a part of our troop now. I'm sure most of you have seen the recent announcements that Cub Scouts and Sea Scouts are not accepting girls in their organization. That's not currently the case for Boy Scouts.
I appreciate what y'all doing. As far as me, I'm all for our children. However we can help them, and I'm sure our citizens are the same way.
And obviously, Scouts is all about our community as well. One of the Eagle required merit badges is citizenship in the community, and many of our Eagle Scout projects actually give back to the community in one respect or another. You've probably seen Hatcher's project with the little libraries around the community, and that's been fairly popular. And there's several other stuff that happen all across the county.
And Commissioners, my understanding is this, as Vice Mayor said, this was in front of the Commission years ago and they approved this money. But what happens is if the money's not spent in that budget year, it goes just back into the general fund. So it's not been earmarked for the last couple of years for the Scout Hut. And I believe that's the request, is that we do earmark some money to put towards the maintenance and repair of the Scout Hut, as was approved prior, but it has to be put back in the budget, which is an easy thing to do with your approval. It would come in the form of a budget amendment at a later date, once we got bids and when we knew what the cost was and exactly what you wanted to spend on it.
All right. Anything else, young men and gentlemen? Would you like to introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah. That's one up there. Yeah, step up there, that's right.
Go ahead.
Anyone?
How old are you? You enjoy scouting? It's fun, isn't it? Good.
I'm Dominic Andrews, 15 years old, and I am a Star Scout.
Benjamin Trammell. I'm an Eagle Scout of Troop 154. I've already aged out, so 19 was just past month, so.
Downhill from here for you.
I'm already in college, so there you go.
Well, congratulations on your Eagle.
Thank you, sir.
That's quite an accomplishment.
And just kind of an update on that, we actually this summer and fall have had 4 in the last 3 months that have turned Eagle from our troops.
In your troop?
In our troop.
Congratulations.
We'd like to acknowledge them.
Like that troop over in Columbia with the Methodist Church over there.
They're not
Methodist.
Yes, they do.
They had a bunch of Eagles in that troop, I don't know.
We would like to recognize all your Eagle Scouts for sure.
Absolutely. And I'll be in touch. I'll need a couple of them there, please.
Certainly.
When I talk about what's next. Mayor, have you got anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Come back anytime.
Appreciate it.
There's a couple of things I want to note that's going to be happening in addition to what the city's going to be doing, and it's an opportunity of which I've spoken with a number of people in the community for private and public funding to come together. Within the next couple of 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of you are going to be getting an invitation to a luncheon, of which we're going to be twisting arms, doing whatever we have to do to do our very best to have private money match the public money in order to not just put a Band-Aid on this Scout Hut, to do this Scout Hut the way it should be done so that it'll last a great number of years for this community and not just continuing what we're a little here and a little there. So with all that said, I'd make a motion that we fund the $4,500 for the improvements to the Scout Hut at Howard Field.
Motion been duly made by Commissioner White on $4,500 Scout Hut City. Been duly seconded. Further discussion?
Might I suggest that was 3 years ago? Could we do a not to exceed
Yeah, that'd be,
5,000 or 5,500, just because, those numbers have changed?
we'll take care of it privately.
Okay. Well, as long as you're okay with that, and just make sure that the commission's aware of it, that we would take this money and it would come back to you in the form of a budget amendment out of the cash fund balance that's in general fund that you just heard from her report is that right now at $1.6 million, and that by the end of the fiscal year we imagine it to be at, I hope it to be at $10 million. So I do believe the money is there. I just didn't know if you wanted to have a not to exceed.
I think we'll be fine with what I understand we're going to get for the private fund.
Great.
Further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion is passed.
Thank you.
Okay. Back to the original order, ordinance 2017-1012 on the first reading, an ordinance to amend Title 5, Chapter 6 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, dealing with the purchasing, repealing the existing Chapter 6 and adopting new Chapter 6, updating the purchasing rules, regulations, and procedures.
Mayor and Commissioners, I have some bullet points that I'd like to read because I want to make sure you know exactly what we're changing. Most of the changes are not large. The largest change is that we are changing the dollar amount, or we're suggesting we change the dollar amount threshold for sealed bids or proposals for real estate property to the state level, which is currently $25,000. We're at $10,000 now. We're requesting that we change it to $25,000, but only for real estate. That would involve a structure, the building of a structure, land. It's not copiers, it's not vehicles, it's just where, for instance, we're about to try and build some restrooms, that kind of thing. So that's the largest change, but let me just quickly rattle off the others. Changing the purchase limit for real property greater than $10,000 but less than $25,000 to require 3 written quotes. Changing the purchase limit for real property greater than $5,000 but less $10,000 to require 3 verbal quotes. Changing the purchase limit for real property less than $5,000 to require no quotes or sealed bids. And then when we get into personal property, leaving the dollar amount where it is, the threshold being the $10,000. Changing the purchase limit for real property greater than $5,000 but less than $10,000 to require 3 written quotes. Changing the purchase limit for real property greater than $25,000, personal property, yeah, it's written wrong here, I'm sorry, my bad. $25,000 but less than $5,000 to require 3 verbal quotes. Changing the purchasing limit for personal property less than $2,500 to require no quotes or sealed bids. We basically are just tightening up our personnel policies when it comes to purchasing. We are asking to increase the real property to $25,000, keeping the personal property at $10,000, but requiring more written quotes and more verbal quotes. And then we add the ability to participate in cooperative agreements in accordance with Tennessee law. We change the inspection of public records to comply with open records and laws and court cases where it requires the inspection of bid documents will be made available after the bid has been awarded, not as the bids are turned in. And one thing we do need to delete is we are no longer allowed to give preference to local businesses through state law. So,
Where did you see that in here? I missed that.
which particular point?
This is stuff we take out.
Where is that?
Local business personal preferences.
But
Yeah.
where is it in this document?
It was in the old document.
Okay.
It's not in the, we took it out.
I didn't read that, so.
That's
In
the
the
point,
past-
we took it out.
In the past,
In
we've
the past, it was
allowed
in your
that.
old document.
What kind of percent did you like to have?
It was 5%.
5%. The state tried to do that on a couple of different occasions, up to 1.5% to 2%, and it was voted down each time, so.
And she got that reminded to her at the conference she was at last week, that you can no longer give credit or personal preference to
I
local.
would imagine that's because the state turned it down to state level.
And also, they also mentioned the, open records, the change in the open records, because a lot of times, what I think was happening, I don't think so much here, but I think it was across the state, where, as soon as the bid documents were opened, other vendors were getting those documents, and so your personnel that was in charge of awarding, and your legislative body that was in charge of awarding those bids were being inundated by the vendors that weren't the high bid, to try to persuade them to award the bid to them instead of the low bidder. So what this did was kind of put it on an even playing field, where those documents will be made available after the award has been made, and that way the body, the legislative body that will award that bid, will just be looking at the sealed bid itself and not being inundated with a lot of extra information that was not in the original bid.
So to sum it up, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, but we're actually making our bidding requirements a bit stricter, and exactly what we expect of staff when they're getting bids. But when it comes to real estate, for instance, these bathrooms that we're trying to bid out, we don't want to incur the expense to have engineered and architect's drawings to be able to set that out for bid. And we want to raise the amount to $2,500, where the burden of that expense is on the vendor that is submitting the bid.
What happens is that if it's more than $25,000, we have to have either an engineer or architect. So you're going to have those. We're going to have to pay for those drawings anyway. If it's less than that $25,000, but more than say the $10,000 now, what happens is that by having to have that sealed bid, you've got to come up with good specifications, and for real properties that becomes a real issue. And many times what I've been given to, or any purchasing agent has been given to put out something for bid that doesn't require that engineer or architect, the contractors just tell me there's not enough information there for them to be able to bid on it, because there's so many things that have to go into that for them to be able to bid on it. For instance, for the bathrooms we're talking about, you've got to have in there what kind of faucets they want, what kind of faucets are required, what kind of, how high the vanities are, how high how far out the toilet sit at. It's just got to be very detailed. And for a small project, it's just not cost effective for us to have to go out and spend the money for an architect to draw up those, to do sealed bids. But by putting it that level to where we would not have to have the sealed bids, it would put it on the vendor to be, they would have to come up with the specs of what they could provide and tell us what they could do at what price. It kind of puts a little bit of the burden off onto the vendor.
Has the law changed, or is it
Yes.
still, if you're 25,000 above, you have to have a licensed state contract?
Yes.
Yes,
It's not true under 25,000, hasn't changed at all?
Correct.
correct.
But we have stayed at that 10,000 mark in the city.
This is just more in line with what the state.
So we're going to go through this page by page?
That's why I read out all the bullet points of all the changes.
Oh, I've got some questions.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not to forego this, but this is a very important part of this government purchasing. It can get in trouble really quickly with you. Some of these are just typos, I'm sure, but some of them, let's maybe outline. Blanket purchase, I'll see, page 6, blanket purchase orders. This is a very wide area for a lot of little stuff to occur, maybe not even intentionally. What assurances do we have this not creating a possible danger?
Possible what, I'm sorry?
Danger for having a blanket exemption?
She still has to sign off on them?
Why do we not just, I know the credit card is sometimes taboo, but why do we not purchase these things on credit card rather than give somebody a blanket exemption?
I don't
Because
understand the word blanket exemption.
Blanket
Basically,
exemption, well, it just says, blanket may be issued by the purchasing agent to a local vendor where small items are purchased on a frequent basis.
For instance, Ace Hardware.
Right, I know what it is.
Right.
I'm just saying that's an area that got a lot of people in trouble.
Now, I sign off on every invoice every week. And even if they have a blanket purchase order, and for instance, like, the Public Works buying 58 meters or 58 valves, and rather than going and getting permission to purchase a little bit at a time, I know that with this company, over the course of this fiscal year, we intend to spend this money on and it's specific that I sign off on, it's meters.
So you're not issuing to the department head a blanket?
It's very specific of what they're purchasing.
But I'm not, you're keeping this and not the department head?
Yes.
It
It has to be approved through Loretta and I both, and it stays on file. And then if, let's say, going back to the example of those meters, if they send something through to purchase 58 meters, every time they purchase meters, that blanket PO comes through before I can sign off on it to remind me that we did sign off on this to purchase these 58 meters. So if there's an area of concern, just let us know, we'll try and figure out.
My area of concern is primarily more of an overlook than it is.
Well, they can't purchase anything over, well, everything gets signed off. I mean, I signed off on $15. I mean, I sign off on everything. But as far as them going out there and not needing bids and that kind of stuff, that ends at $500?
Purchase orders.
Yeah.
Requirements.
Everything after $500 needs a purchase order. And they can't even order it without getting that signed off.
It actually gives us more, the city manager, more oversight, because we don't require purchase orders less than 500. So if we're doing a blanket purchase order for something that's $20.
Why do we not have $500 is a lot of money in this town in particular. Why do we not have a purchase order for something up to under $500?
That's our policy.
Where did the $500 come from?
It's been that way forever, and most cities are much higher than that. That's why we've actually to go to the state level for real property, because most cities are at the $25,000 level. We don't want to be there with personal properties. That's why we're saying keep it at the 10. But you get to the point where you can't do business because you've got so much paperwork to do. These are ongoing regular expenses, so lowering below $500, I think it's going to cause a problem.
What are we doing to the group purchasing plans that would stop some of this small purchasing?
Anytime we can get something down state contract, we do.
Well, did we ever sign up for the things that are through the state?
That was one of my bullet points, that we would add the ability to participate in cooperative purchasing agreements in accordance with TCA. That's what we're trying to do.
Are we doing that?
Yes. Matter of fact, when the meetings that we've been to this month, the state is changing the way in which they're making it for us to use those contracts, and I actually have registered with them. I got email today with a list of a spreadsheet of a lot of items. It was a whole long spreadsheet of a lot of items, and the first thing, we were actually holding off one of the purchase orders for salt.
Make sure it was on the state.
To see if we could get it at a better rate through the state contract. Come find out what we was the state contract, and come tomorrow, that email that I received today, the plan is to get it to all of the department heads so that they can see that list of state contracts that are out there, because it amazes me the things that they have out there. and that we can get so much cheaper that way. Of course, I think the blanket PO was more intended for your local establishments where they have to run down to the hardware store, to the,
And a lot of it's stuff we order constantly through like Consolidated Pipe and things that we order for Public Works.
meters.
And we know that we're getting the best price, the meter, and rather than going through the PO process every time, we've got a blanket PO. We know we're going to have to get this many, or we intend to buy this many this fiscal year.
So you're happy that, are you content that it's under your supervision and there's nothing?
I question things every week, but I get an explanation before I sign off on it, yeah. I can see where you might think that could.
I've seen some experience.
Right.
I've seen it happen in places you never would have dreamed of.
We don't even let you have a credit card unless you sign it out. And I sign off on everything before the check's cut every week. You can ask the department heads how easy it is to spend money around here.
It's not very.
It's not very
I'm
easy.
going down department heads, it opens up Pandora's box for a lot of things to possibly occur if we get one bad apple, or the vendor becomes a bad apple. It's on both sides. Page 8, second-hand purchases, item 11. City must document the general value of the item through a listing in a nationally recognized publication or through an appraisal by a licensed appraiser is the price.
That is TCA.
Okay.
That's
I wanna
TCA
know who-
verbiage.
My question is, who is the licensed appraiser?
We would have to secure one.
Depending on
at
what we
that
were
time.
purchasing.
Are we
Depending on
familiar with that? That we would know to do that? We're
We
gonna adopt these rules, I don't wanna violate
Hey,
them.
this is law right there, and they
TCA, if it was something that we needed to find a licensed appraiser,
Well,
that
so-
we have to.
Because I had, Johnny had, just last year had an item, and I pretty much gave him this section right here and said, this is what you have to do, and made him go out and get, Kelly, I think he'd get whatever, I can't remember what it was, but it was something that he could get out of online. He could get something that was similar.
I'm guessing since we have trouble finding a licensed appraiser, what happened to the old thing of getting 3 comparable?
Well, this is state law. This is not our option. We have to keep.
And this is secondhand goods. This is
Right.
secondhand
In other
goods.
words, you wanna go buy a used truck.
Right.
Because Brown has a truck sitting over here, and it's just perfect for one of our departments. And to keep from unscrupulous doings, I don't know, but I don't wanna know who's this person gonna be, rather than look around for 2 weeks, well, who's the licensed appraiser? Used to, you'd go to, and you would get an estimate of that value from 3 reputable dealers, and then you could buy that truck.
I guess in my mind, it would depend on the purchase. If it's a truck, you would do something like that, but if it's a
Well, not for this, you
furniture,
gotta have an
suite of
appraiser.
furniture, you'd want.
Licensed appraiser.
Well, it would depend on what.
One or the other.
One or the other. It's a licensed appraiser or a nationally recognized publication. But it depends, you wouldn't go have your car dealer go out and look at
I'm just bringing these
furniture.
things out because this is things you're getting ready to vote on, and once you vote on and accept it, it's gonna become the rule and not what we should do, it's what's gonna be the rule we're gonna do. Be prepared to do it.
Secondhand purchases. So this paragraph number, this is not a change from our current practice.
Okay.
And also, this right here is the verbiage that's in the TCA. This is straight out of the TCA.
I just don't think we could name the licensed appraiser. It would depend on
No,
what we were
I just want you
purchasing.
to be familiar with that, you're gonna have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is, but
They're gonna buy secondhand, and it makes it harder to buy secondhand, but the intent of that is that buying secondhand shouldn't be that easy, because it does open up a Pandora's box if you make it too easy to buy something secondhand.
You can spend a lot of time buying used equipment, sometimes it's some real bargains, and we
Yeah.
used to have this problem in the county, trying to buy some things that were really good buys for us, but you had to be sure that you weren't going to violate the law, and that's just, but as long as y'all are familiar with it, I didn't realize that this licensed appraiser thing ever came into it. I thought it was always a value by reputable people, and you could document it in written form that you did this.
I guess maybe the last CCA that came out, added
I
that.
imagine the comptroller's pushing for a lot of things, and I know he's into it now with something else up there. The other, on that page, petty cash purchases down at the bottom, item 15.
We very seldom use it.
We do have a small petty cash.
We
And how
have
much
a small
is-
petty cash, every invoice is in there and accounted for.
How much is the petty cash, Mark?
$100.
$100? Where's
I
it kept?
typically I'm buying stamps because I send a lot of cards out to people on city
It's kept
letterhead.
over in the room over there, in the safe?
Yes, and they have to give them a receipt for what we request to come out.
I don't have a problem with that. It's one high town in case I ever get asked.
And then it's documented,
Mhm.
and then before it's replenished, it's balanced.
Okay, we went over the procedure of sealed bids, and y'all are both familiar with the process of opening bids and all those procedures that you have to go through. It's not dated, it's not, all that kind of stuff. We're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know, Cordy, are you familiar with that?
I'm learning it through this
Okay.
change in procedure.
Because that's extremely important to get you in a lawsuit.
And keep in mind, if there are questions beyond what comes up tonight, this is first reading.
Next page, electronic bids. Are we capable of taking electronic bids here?
We are not.
We're not, so I have not
I
been
didn't think we
accepting
were.
any.
I don't think we need to get into that business. All right. That's-
We've already pointed out that needs to be addressed.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Is
we're
it not
not.
changed in this draft?
Pardon?
Is it not changed in this draft?
Well, I think what we did was we left it so that in the future, if
Okay.
Up to the purchasing agent.
Okay,
if we
gotcha.
did become capable of handling them, then it left it open that we could, but at this point, we're not capable of handling it, and so, at our discretion, we just
And it's
don't do
basically
it. I don't
on page-
allow.
On page 10, the second paragraph, purchasing agent may receive bids, proposals, and other offers electronically at the purchasing agent's discretion, and that's the change we made since we currently do not accept them that way.
Okay. Item, page 12, item bids bond, item 5, item B, excuse me. There's some typos in that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how important that is to you, but there's several typos in that one paragraph.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Okay.
at least 4 that I know of in there.
Some of that's just from cutting and pasting, but yes, appreciate that.
All right, let's see. That may have been all of it. I'll see one. Let's see. Item 16, item F, page 16, item F, items covered by warranty or guarantee. This is a very good policy, but who handles that for us?
Who handles,
Yeah, who's in charge? In other words, you buy these, say you bought a new, who keeps up with that?
that would all be part of the purchasing agent's responsibility.
Okay, so you're gonna have to do that.
We keep those, actually.
She's the purchasing
Sonia has
agent.
a-
I thought you were supposed to-
I can assign that.
I saw you could sign,
Yeah.
you signed it. You're smart, you're smart.
I can assign anywhere.
Good move, Kay. Are you familiar, are you equipped to handle, how do you
She
handle those
keeps-
warranties?
Okay, she keeps, Sonia has the titles, but each individual department head has the warranty itself.
So, okay, so you got, whatever you got there, so you're familiar with it. Do you have a copy of the warranty?
I usually get copies of that paperwork. Yeah.
That'd be part of what
You get a lot of money
Yeah,
involved.
and as a
with
matter
it.
of fact, that's part of what we're working on, the scanning, that was part of what our,
Once it's approved, it's scanned into the system.
yeah, that was part of why we got the scanning system, was when we went to look for these documents, we couldn't find them.
It says the purchasing agent shall maintain an active current file with complete information on such warranties or guarantees. All warranties must be remitted to the purchasing agent with invoice indicate date of receipt.
Right, and so what we're gonna, our plan is to do is to get those scanned in, and that way, everybody will have access, all of our department heads and the accounting office, all of us will have access through our
Well, I
document
guess what I want to
management
see happen is you have, as your purchasing agent, you to have one and each department head to have a copy of it or vice versa. That way the two of you won't let something slip through.
And then,
Yeah.
and a step further is it's scanned into the cloud, so if either one of them are not around, we have a copy of it.
Okay. That's a very good.
It is important because, as you know, we can't find anything these days, so going forward, we want to have all that stuff.
Page 17, this is another typo type thing. Sale of surplus property, second line. It needs to say he or he/she, not just he. You want to be I'm nitpicking.
Just where are you, tell me?
And second, sale of surplus property, second line.
Okay.
Says he shall figure, in the other parts of this thing, it says he dash.
Okay.
He/she. Same page, purchase of property at public auction. Purchase agent may purchase, blah, blah, blah. And it had something, need an additional person. Purchase of property at public auction. Okay, are you authorized, it's saying you can't go, you're the purchasing agent. Do you have is there any way that you can pass that thing on as a substitute, say Mr. Grooms needs to go to where they're selling fire equipment, that you can't go, but he can go act on your behalf? Is there a way to do that? There is a way to do it, but do we need to put that in here?
He would need a purchasing order. He would need a purchasing order to be able to do it.
Yeah, he'd have to have a purchase order, but maybe we should put in purchasing agent or designee.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because you won't always be a gun, you wouldn't have the expertise anyway,
I
that
just say,
somebody else would have.
if you're asking me to go look at a,
Piece of fire
a
equipment.
piece of fire equipment, I'm just gonna look at you and go, oh, pretty.
Great.
Nice.
Let's see, last one I got, on page 18, item O, interest of officer in municipal contracts. It says no official, elected official having direct or indirect material financial interest, and a vendor may enter contract with the city property. What about an employee? Can an employee enter into a contract with the city? And this is a question, not a suggestion, it's just can an employee? This says elected official or officer.
We have that in our personnel
I think it's in the
policy.
personnel policy,
I think it's addressed in our employee handbook.
but we can add it here too.
I think you
Isn't
need to
that
add
in
it.
the personnel policy manual? That we can't, as employees, purchase?
We will look at that and give
We'll
you a
look at it,
report on
and if
that
not,
by
we can add
second
that.
reading. I think that's where it is. Yeah, we've got a few extras
Are you
there.
asking them, do you want them to be able to,
Not
or
for
you don't?
No,
I think usually it has to be an authorized agent of the city, and it has to be ratified by y'all, so normally, no, they can't
No,
do that.
my answer would be that no,
Yeah.
that doesn't
But
happen.
but you want to add the language in there to
I
clarify.
don't want them to have, be able to sell to the city. That's my.
But not, I think the way the, personnel policy manual is that it supplies or goods, but contract labor is not included in that prohibition.
What about selling on gov deals? Are our employees able to purchase city property off gov deals?
I don't think so.
We should be, but where is that addressed?
In our purchasing rules, where, is it in the gov deal?
That was brought up.
Of course, we're saying, Philip,
Employee has to.
Yeah.
I know that we don't allow it, where it's in writing, I need to look into, but it's not
It's not in the
allowed.
purchasing
I'll see
manual.
everything we can to do to provide it saves. I know it's a headache on the front end, but it saves a lot of time in a lawsuit or when somebody's charged.
I was thinking that was in
That was
our policy. That's in our.
I guess their friend
Surplus.
could back on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't stop it in some way.
It's in the ethics section, in the first
I
name.
do remember that.
And it's in the surplus policy.
I think that language is covered not only in an ethics statement that's in the handbook, and also in surplus property.
There's a separate policy for surplus sales or surplus property. We just barely touched on it in here, kind of references it, but I think there's a separate policy. Well, it probably needs to be updated, but
Most of these things that I addressed tonight, I've seen happen. I just don't want to see the city get into a situation that would be embarrassment to somebody in your department head or official or employee. Because a lot of times employees don't realize that they can't do something. And then they've done it before you realize it, and it gets to be a situation. That's all I have on that. I apologize for taking a length of time, but I thought it was something we needed to look at.
No, but if anybody else, as they read through it between now and second reading, has any other concerns, we'll come back with some answers. We would have to address that, because it's a lot of detail.
You highlight the changes that were recommended tonight on the 1
That'd be
to
easy.
5 week.
We can do that.
All right. Got any further questions? Chairman call for a vote, please. All in favor signify by saying aye. All those like sign, no. The motion has been approved.
Was there a motion? We didn't get a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
You say?
Thank you, I'm sorry.
All right, the next one is ordinance 2017-013, 1013, ordinance City of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee, amending Title 4, Chapter 6, the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code relating to travel rules, regulations, and procedures.
Mayor and Commissioners, recently you passed and adopted the City Employees Handbook, and in that handbook are our travel rules, regulations, and procedures, and it would have been really easy to just pass a resolution to cite the handbook. However, the original travel policies going back to 1993 were in the form of an ordinance. So we have to pass an ordinance to amend travel procedures, and that's why, again, you have a lot of detail. This detail is already adopted by this commission in our employee handbook.
Pretty much copied and pasted.
Yes. It's another one of those things, just catching up on getting paperwork done.
I have any questions?
No, sir, I'll make a motion.
Well, I will have a question.
Okay.
It won't be the details, so. What, travel advances, I've never heard of that before. Do you ever do that?
Yes, quite often. And then
Not
always,
every-
every city I've worked with does that.
Why?
We're only allowing you a certain allotment of money per day, per diem.
So
And we give that to you ahead of time.
So you're actually giving out greenbacks?
Checks.
Why not use a credit card?
What we found is, with a lot of the little small invoices, that it's very cumbersome and we don't always get all the invoices. Well, so we went to on just meals and incidentals, per diem rate. And plus two, by doing a per diem rate, at the state rate, this is actually from the state, their policy. If somebody does actual expense, they may go and order the most expensive item on the menu. Whereas if we're just giving them the small per diem, and if their conference that they're going to provides, for instance, I went Thursday and Friday to Murfreesboro. I did not get any per diem because they provided our breakfast and our dinner, our lunch.
That doesn't concern me. I understand all that per diem stuff. I'm talking about actually giving out money rather than using a credit card to the employee.
That's what a per diem is you give them the money ahead of time. This is all you have, based on
The
the
expense is strictly a limit set on what they're going to pay.
Yeah, that's all we give them is
In other
that per
words,
diem.
if you're going to pay $10 for a meal and they get $12, you ain't going to pay for $10 a meal. That's per diem, per day, expense per day.
And that's what we do.
I'm talking about
That's
the
what we
cash
do.
dollars that you put down. Are you giving them cash?
No.
I'm going to a trip, and are you going to give me like $300?
No, I
Or
won't give
are you
you,
going to give me the money when I come back and
No,
you'll give me
what we're
my
gonna-
money back?
No, a per diem means you have money to spend.
yeah, what we're doing is we're giving them,
And we're following the state law on that also.
what we're doing is we're giving them, it's so much for lunch, so much for dinner, and then,
And
I've
it's
got
based
one.
on zip code, it's based on where you're
Yeah.
traveling, it's based on the size of the city you go to, higher when you go to Nashville.
I know all of that about that. I
Yeah.
understand all that. I've never heard of
That's how
getting
we
out
give
the
them.
money. That's
Oh, I've always worked that way, yeah.
my
Exactly.
function as an auditor. That's opening up Pandora's box again for misuse.
But if the state law says this is your per diem, this is
That's
all
the
you
most
get.
You get, right.
Right,
That's it.
and we
That's
give
all
you
they're
that.
gonna get.
So if a guy goes and doesn't eat any meals and comes back starving, he keeps all that money?
Yes, he does.
That's.
Well, on the other hand, if you give them a credit card,
Huh?
it's back to what she said, instead of getting a $10 meal, they get a $50 meal.
No, they can't, well, they can, but they can
Yeah.
only get, when they put that slip back on there for $50, you're only gonna pay them $10.
Yeah, but
That
it's our
part's gonna
credit
come out of
card.
their pocket.
But it's already been, I mean, you've
It's
already...
on the card, but it's on the city's card.
Oh, it's
And
already
you're gonna
on
take
the
it out of their
card.
check.
This is also part of the personnel policy. We've already approved this.
Huh?
We've already approved this in the personnel policy manual.
Well, I
And
never, I
you-
never would have voted for
Okay.
it if I'd known this.
Well,
We got the cart before the horse.
this city has been very criticized for credit card use, so do you want everybody to get a credit card again?
No.
We're
not-
very strict on credit
I'm
cards.
thinking about, you don't have to have more than 3 credit cards in a whole.
Oh my gosh, yes you do.
No, you
Absolutely.
don't, because they come out of your office and they sign out.
Yeah, but I could have 10 people in Public Works traveling that need credit cards.
I don't think you'd have 10.
We do.
The whole staff.
We absolutely do.
There's
Absolutely
two
do.
times a year, in the fall and the spring, that we
That's
have...
enough on this, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's enough.
We do, I mean, this week alone, we probably have 6 or 7 people.
That's fine, and I hope we never have any abuse on it, but that's okay with me.
If the commission wants to recommend, we change it, but we've been doing the per diem now for a little while based on the state purchasing policy.
Okay, that's all. Anybody else have anything they want to say about it?
No, sir.
Chair will call for motion, please. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. I made a motion.
Motion.
All right. Yeah,
I don't think we got a
I made a
motion.
motion.
Okay.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That motion is passed. Okay, the next one is,
C,
let's see.
yeah.
Ordinance to amend Title 16 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code relating to mass gathering and special events.
And, Mayor, this has kind of been a long time in the making. We have already passed the fact that if you're going to have a mass gathering, you have to come in to get a permit so that police knows what you need, codes knows what you need, fire knows what you need. This is getting very much more specific to, we use the number of, if you're going to have 250 people or more, that we can handle it, we know ahead of time, we know what streets need to be closed, we know what you need from us as a city to do that. I think the city of Columbia uses 500 people as their minimum.
We started higher and had to cut it lower.
Well, and we're a smaller city, so you put 250 people downtown and
You got a lot of folks.
that helps us. That's something we need to be prepared for, sorry. So, if you have any questions, I know that both the police and fire chief, we've been working on this for a few months.
So whose office are they gonna go to get the permit?
We already have the permit that you apply for, and you can get it online, but that permit gets signed off by codes, police, fire, even Parks and Rec, depending on where they are, before it's issued.
So you're not going to use them, Office of Emergency Management at all?
If we get to an event that big, we would involve them. Do we involve them at this point in this, for 250 people? Okay.
We use their guidance in developing this. Yeah, if we do a
They
spec
were involved
plan,
in
it goes
developing
to
this.
them. They get a copy of the spec plan if we have to do one.
Yeah, who's gonna do the plan?
I've been doing it in the past.
Okay.
It really should be who's requesting the permit, but if they don't know, we would rather have somebody that's professional that understands what the plan needs to be, and we make a suggestion, a strong suggestion of what the plan needs to be. For instance, this barbecue
Well,
festival.
there's a ton of work in doing that plan. It's for $25, it's just
Oh, yeah.
a proposition, but it's a great thing to do.
But so many things happened my first 6 months, and we were all just like, what, who? City Hall's supposed to be open, street's supposed to be closed? No, people weren't signing, we didn't know to. Maybe one part of the organization did, but not all of them. And so now everybody signs off on it, and we all know what's happening and what to expect with that event.
It's a good thing. I'm 100% for that.
That's any event.
This mass gathering is specifically for 250 people or more.
And it's outside. It's not
But we do
inside.
have a permit for
Right.
any type of event, even 25 people, that we want to know, are you frying potatoes or something,
But I
we
mean-
want to know.
I mean, I don't wanna go down this road. I mean, you might have a protest or something, and they say there's not gonna be but 15 people here, then the next thing you know, you got,
It gives us the teeth to shut it down too with
Yeah.
this ordinance.
okay.
Because you didn't go through the proper process and you
Right.
had more than 250
Okay.
people.
Kate, the permit process that you're talking about is not part of what's being repealed with this ordinance, right?
No, how is that permit set up?
It is a special event permit.
Okay.
Am
Is
I-
that through an ordinance?
resolution or ordinance.
Okay, we need to make sure you're aware of that, okay. Or can see what we're talking about.
I make a motion, we approve this ordinance on first reading.
Okay, motion been made, accept, is there a second? Okay, second, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion's passed on first reading. Okay. Item D, first reading, an ordinance to amend Title 16, Chapter 3 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code relating to sidewalk improvements and maintenance.
Mayor and Commissioners, I know I speak to each of you personally. We have an existing older, I think 2011 ordinance on the books right now, and we need a little direction on intent of that ordinance or what we want. That ordinance definitely gave the city manager discretion on where to spend sidewalk funds and where we would put money in to assist in repairing a sidewalk. It did not specify whether it was residential or commercial, even though it gave the discretion to make those choices. And I just felt that we may want to have a little bit on what the commission thought we wanted as far as any sidewalk improvements moving forward. Mayor, at the study session, Corey shared some cities do private assessments.
Special assessment. And there's multiple ways you can do that. And some cities, bigger cities usually, the ones I looked at were Jackson, Shelbyville, Murfreesboro, and Gallatin, had sections in the ordinance that said basically owners pay for sidewalks. You know, and the city had the ability to say your sidewalk is messed up, fix it. So I don't know that that's what you want to do or appropriate, but I had just done kind of a general overview of some cities, and most of the smaller cities didn't have sidewalk maintenance programs at all.
But it's clear that there's liability with the city for sidewalks. There's no question about that. It's just we've never highlighted areas of the city where we want sidewalks, with the exception of the downtown footprint. And in the past, since Steve has been here, and my experience with Columbia, we've done residential areas. We can go beyond that, but I wanted a little clarification on that.
Yes, I do. You said, so if your sidewalk get repaired, the city can come try to get it repaired.
No, not as it's written right now. That's, they asked for guidance, so y'all asked for guidance on what other cities have done. And those bigger cities that I listed, Jackson, Shelbyville, Murfreesboro, and Gallatin, that's their policy.
Okay.
So if you were just wanting to know what other people are doing, other cities are doing, that's what the
I don't want
bigger-
that policy because the city told my sidewalk up in the city.
So that program is that if we adopted that, we could tell you you had to fix it, but then we would put a special assessment on your property.
Those are different things. So a special assessment would be if
You did a group.
you did a group.
I gotcha,
If
okay.
one big section of the city said, you know, we want new sidewalks, and they asked for it, then the city could do a special assessment to fix those and then assess the cost like a tax against those people based on their frontage of sidewalk.
But right now, we don't have the ability to come tell you you have to fix your sidewalk.
And none of those things that we've talked about are what this ordinance says. So.
Well, this is a double-edged sword. When we were discussing this the other night when we were here, I mean, all right, let's just take that right there. We can't tell you to come fix your sidewalk. But somebody trips and falls, it's our baby.
Yeah, and it should be because they didn't come fix it.
I know, but we can't tell you that, but under the current way it's written, we're gonna charge you for half of it.
You know, that's what I want to know. Where is it written? If this is all the sidewalk information that we have going back to whenever, where is the policy that specifies what the payments are, who's going to pay for what?
Exactly.
It's in the 2011, and this is updating the 2011. If you look at the paragraph, residential customer request, that the residential customer would pay the material 100%, the city would pay the labor at 100%.
Okay, now, I've got that, but that's not the cost what I looked at, Richard Henry, Mayor Hendricks and them did, and looking at this, and looking at what was here before, I do not find anywhere a program to build sidewalks. And I know that by our own rules, we're supposed to have a sidewalk plan, and we don't have a sidewalk plan. And in that sidewalk plan, we're supposed to be who's going to pay for what. So we're getting all this back, and we don't even have a plan.
Correct. We don't have a plan, but we only have that 2011 ordinance.
Well, the 2011 ordinance did away, I believe, was, I have the right thing. Sidewalk improvement maintenance plan established, 301. 302, customer request plan specification, 303. And I don't see where it did away with anything. It says it incorporates all these existing ordinances, but the curbing, sidewalks, and streets into this thing. Periodic basis, it will designate established sidewalk improvement areas within budget constraints to be repairs and funding. The program shall allow the city director of public works, city manager, the flexibility to work with property owners on special projects which involve direct funding for sidewalk repairs and/or replacement of done city funding. I think this came about because we were doing nothing in the city, and sidewalks weren't getting fixed, and people were falling. We need to come up with something that will specify what a person is going to do to get the sidewalk fixed. Now, I think number two, I think this is what's caused the problem in the 16303, because we had a person who's developing a building, and I made them aware of this section that's in there, that you could take this and you pay part, the city would pay part, and it was streamlined. I know you use it over on Walnut Street with the residential area. My problem with this whole thing is the commercial section, which I'm prejudiced business, but being in the business community down here for 29 years, and knowing who you pay, number one, you pay 15% more as a business, 40% your building, everything's going to be assessed 40%. And when we recruit businesses, not businesses, but industries in this town, most of them are given all kind of things for coming here. Not always. They give them special things. And we're going to have to recruit some businesses for these buildings that have been purchased. And, you know, are they going to be required to pay 100% to fix their sidewalks that the general public's going to be doing all?
So that's not fair.
Yeah, but that's where we got in discussion last Thursday, Jim, because I didn't see how you could leave, you know, the businesses out, because the downtown people, most of those are going to be funded by grants.
And they've had a couple of grants to fix the sidewalks downtown.
Probably not.
But they hadn't fixed any place
Don't
else.
count on grants, folks.
Not that they have had.
You can put in.
The downtown sidewalks have been fixed last.
Well, the downtown sidewalks where you're going to get most of your liability, because they're going to have you high, and that's where people are going to fall, and that's where this city's been sued on occasion for falling on the sidewalk. It's going in a bad need. It's pretty easy to get something out of it. What I'm saying is this: the businesses should not have to pay any more than 50% of that. They just pay 50 on the walk, and the city should pay 50 on the walk, and because they're not only going to get in government, you don't make it, run like a business. You can't run government exactly like a business because it makes no profit. You make enough to pay the expenses and maybe a little bit extra on that 15% that homeowners pay, on 25%. When you move up and that property valuation goes to 40, you're getting more money, you're getting better pad. Also, the business is going to collect sales tax. You moved 1,000 residents in here in the next year, and you didn't get any additional business, this town's going to fold financially. You're going to do it because you can't support the services that they're going to have.
Maybe I'm missing something, Mayor, but I thought in our meeting, you know, we decided, you know, that the business people would be the same as the...
I don't think we made that
You
decision. There was a lot of
don't have a
discussion.
plan, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
you don't have any document that says that a business owner, that a business is going to pay this, and a residential person's gonna pay that. This was an attempt, I think, to put it up to 50/50 probably 2011, because nothing was happening. And you had some people who want to get their sidewalks fixed. I don't have any problem with striking that out about the guy can pay for his expenses, and the city will pay the vendor to do the thing. But I want to see us come up with something that's a 50/50 thing.
But at the same token, what if the business owner says, hey, I'm gonna pay more than the city? I mean, I'm just saying, you know, if they came and said that.
If they still how could they pay more than half the cost?
Well, I guess, you know, by this other deal that's coming up right now, I guess with the one on First Avenue, what was it, ours was 4,000 and his was 6?
No, the city's was higher.
Yeah, we
Cities
were higher.
Okay.
We were higher.
Because it requires so much labor.
So much labor.
I don't have a problem with doing away with that, but I do have a problem if we're going to try to make a business owner pay more money to a sidewalk that the public's going to walk on. And, you know, I don't want to use this business owner's name because that's got nothing to do with this whole thing. If XYZ company come to me with the same situation, I would support it doing that, where the city has an obligation to fix the sidewalks.
And then the other point too is we don't have a budget. So we have some state surveyed money, but we haven't carved out and said this much goes for sidewalks. So if we did that, you know.
Here's what because I'm not going to tell you all these stories. Corey and I sat over here that night and talked about this at length, because at our discretion, who am I going to decide that she gets it and I don't, or I do, or she does? And I think that puts us in a bad position.
That's why it's in front of you.
I know, and I applaud y'all for this.
Well,
But personally, I think we need to put more study into this and make sure that when we do this, try to do it once and try to do it right. Because I have a great concern about our liability as a city for this on a lot of levels. On a lot of levels.
Unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet.
Yes, I'm in total agreement with you, Commissioner.
Well, we have had, so I know we've had lawsuits over, I
But,
can't remember.
and Corey, I don't know where you go get it.
May I say something?
A bit more information about it. I don't know where you go get it.
Yeah, I mean, I did a survey of the cities. Like I said, most of the ones that were comparable to Mount Pleasant side didn't have any
Anything,
sidewalk
right.
maintenance program. It was only the bigger cities that did.
I just wonder how many sidewalks they had.
Yeah, special
You know.
assessment is something I can definitely look into, and that
Yeah.
is a program actually that I looked into
Well-
several years ago, and I have a memo ready for y'all to see for that. I just hadn't updated it.
We did special assessments here in in the subdivision I live in, and the assessment was 2/3 for the property owner and 1/3 for the city.
Right.
And you charged it back against the property if you didn't pay it off. That's what the special assessments have been done in this town in times
And
past.
that's the.
I think what we're going to be, we're going to have some business owners that are going to be wanting to come in here that will make us get more tax money and make us get more tax money on property tax. But property tax, folks, only pays about 1/3 of this total budget. And it's you know, that's the best. And people gets 99% of the gripes. My tax is too high. My tax is too high. But the business community, with what's work that's being done down here today, if he gets all these buildings get fixed and so forth, nobody comes in, you're just gonna have some new buildings, some refurb buildings with nobody in them, and we're not gonna be a bit better off.
Are you talking about downtown specifically?
Downtown, I'm talking about downtown.
That grant that you all approved last month, though, would be replacing sidewalks.
With our, you know, if we get that.
If, I know we don't count on them, right.
Margin right now, we're 0 for 3, so.
Right.
We're not gonna get anything.
Better than that.
So we need to, number one, to develop a plan. And it wouldn't be that hard to do, but we need a funding mechanism, and we need to know a plan of which are the major thoroughfares that we're gonna build sidewalks on. And then we need a plan that if someone comes in with a business and they got a bad sidewalk out there,
What are we gonna do?
Who's gonna fix it? Are they gonna fix it with us, or are we gonna fix it on its own? I think the business has to participate, but I think they should only have to participate up to 50% of the sidewalk. I think the city has got a level that they need to stay with.
We can do some more research. We've not done much here. I mean, you've done some other research that's not in existence in this.
So what are you gonna do in the meantime?
That's where I need some
You got a business
direction.
wanting to open it within 2 to 3 months, and what's gonna be the answer? And that would be just one of many, I think, I hope.
I think until, this is me personally, I think until we get a plan in place that is very specific as to who pays what, that we need to call a vote on what we're gonna do with our current applicant.
Do we need to do what now?
Call a vote for our current applicant, because I think that we cannot, because if tomorrow another one comes in, we don't need to have this. I'll tell you, I talked to Steve about it, we done kicked this can down the road so far, we can't kick it down the road anymore, we gotta make a decision.
Well, I mean, I don't know who come up
And that's
with,
just the way it is.
you know, with the city paying the materials and the...
Well, that can go well. I'm not that concerned about that.
And I'm good with 50/50.
That, I think this was put in there, though, simply because this city has not done anything, and I'm not criticizing anybody that's working today. The city has sitting here and done nothing toward fixing these sidewalks for years.
Same as a street, I guess, the money.
Right. And we're gonna have to start somewhere with doing it, and we need to have what we're going to do. And I think that's what Richard and unfortunately Tom, probably the only 2 people that really knew anything about it. I guess I could ask Deborah McMullen, but she might not talk to me.
Brother Mayor.
Mayor, I think Ms. Johnson
Yes, ma'am, she's gonna have to hold on just a second, hon.
No, this
Now.
pertains about now.
Okay, will you come forward, state your name, as you always do. Come on up. I know you don't like him, that's all right. That's part of the procedure.
You just don't like me. No, what I'm saying, back before 2011, the lady, was her name Miss West?
Betty West.
Yeah, that was working on the sidewalk.
Yes,
here.
she was. She certainly
And all,
was.
and at that time, the state was putting money in for sidewalk repairs. And they had a controversy about that in some kind of way. I don't know if it was some ill feelings about that discussion. But had the money from the state to fix sidewalks here in Mount Pleasant. And now, if you look back on your notes, I don't know how far back that would be. It should be recorded.
Where does Ms.
She
West
and Travis West were here, they lived down the corner of Washington and Summer, Cherry, one of those streets. They were very active. Betty was especially active. And I don't remember what you're talking about, Justin, but I do remember that, so I do remember them.
But if you pull the notes on that, you'll find out that it was a plan before 2011.
Yeah. But apparently it didn't get adopted through this commission somewhere because
No.
all we've got these
11.
3 things going back forever, back when they had, the wagon things there almost.
It's probably State Street, that's what they were using. I mean, really, probably was. Probably State Street, that's what they were using at that time.
That's what we used the street lights.
That's right.
So the other part of the whole equation is once we kind of develop what parameters would be, is we've got to have money set aside. And that's all.
Why I think that because this could get out of hand quickly.
We can't fix everybody's stuff.
That's my point.
I think what this has done here is in 16303, you've strictly taken out, and you made something that says customer request, you changed it to residential customer request.
It's always done.
That's what you've done, but you
Right.
cut out the commercial. You put out the commercial
Right.
use of this, and that's...
And that was discussed on Thursday night because just the history is that we've never done anything commercial.
Well, we gotta do something.
Well, that's why it's in front of the commission to make changes to that, because I don't know, because my experience personally has only been for residential. Robert, Steve, doesn't mean that we can't change it, but that's just been my experience in cities I've worked in.
Right now,
They used it up front, but they said it was...
right now, the way I read
It's too
this,
long, and it wasn't enough money to run it.
the way it is today, it is open to any property owner. It doesn't say residential customer, and you're changing that verbiage to that. So you're gonna cut out anybody in the business section from getting any disadvantage.
But I'm looking for some guidance on that, on what the commission wants to do, and I think Mr. White suggested, looking into a little bit more of what other cities do. But you're asking what we do with the request that's on hand now, and, I just would ask for a little guidance from the commission on that.
I make a motion, we approve that
Do what we
request.
got right now.
Right, you could make a motion to deny or pass this
Or
one, and
just
then...
do nothing, yeah.
Do nothing.
Mhm.
But I think Kate still needs guidance on how there's a request on the table now.
I make a
And-
motion that we approve the request that is on the table today and table this motion for more study to be brought back at our November meeting. So I have two motions. Number one, we approve the current request. And the second would be that we table this until the next meeting for further study.
Do you, my question to you then would be, do you approve the property owner's request at this time to do the special exception where he or she would pay the part and the city would pay a part, or are you asking for a 50/50?
50/50.
But the current ordinance says that they pay materials.
All right, then according to the current ordinance, so that we follow what our current ordinance states.
But I mean, could that be changed tonight?
It can be changed, yes, yes.
But you've got to
No.
redo the
It
ordinance.
cannot.
Hang on, just, the current request that's on the table has to be considered under the current ordinance as it stands
Current
right
ordinance.
now. Yeah, so if you, what we're talking about are two different things. If you want to change it going forward, that's what the ordinance that was presented to you would be for, with changing it going forward. The request that's made already has to be
It
made
has to be, go by what this,
what it currently says.
And then that's what we've got right now. That's why this, I just feel very, I've got a lot of concerns. And I think we need to be cautious. We can't afford to redo every one of them in this community right now. I wish we could. But I asked Kate at this request, I'll tell everybody here, I asked her to please ask them to draw out what they intended to do, where it was, and why they wanted it. And they complied with everything I asked them to do.
once we start deal or whatever.
And we just got to get somewhere, excuse me.
Does another resident, can they come in and say, well, you done this for Mike, now you're gonna do this for mine?
This is currently the ordinance.
It's a current ordinance.
I know that, but I'm talking about, we can't fix everybody, is what I'm saying.
No,
That's where the language about discretion is in the ordinance.
and that's what scares me.
Well,
I think that we need to take the time to sit and get Loretta and Kate involved in this and understand, here's how much money we've got to spend annually on sidewalks, and that's all we've got. So maybe it's first come, first served.
So there is nothing appropriate sidewalks now, right?
Nothing,
Just pay street aid.
nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Well, you're gonna have to develop a sidewalk plan, you're gonna have to make appropriations.
That's right.
There's no question about that.
So,
But that won't help anybody right now through this. I am not,
but we have a request right now, Mayor, under our current ordinance.
Right.
And I think we need to decide and vote on whether we want to approve or disapprove that request under our current ordinance today.
And my question again, if we don't do this point, can we not do a 50/50 thing?
Not under, what she's saying,
You have to-
we have to change it.
You have to approve it, for the request that's on the table would need to be approved based on the language that's in there now, which I think is the city pays for all of the work and the owner pays for all of the materials, is that right?
Correct.
So, and those I think they end up being close to 50/50, just depending on where
Okay, did
it
you
is.
use
This one's not, it almost is within $50 of being 50/50.
Right.
This is different because it requires a lot of labor, because we've paved and paved and
Paved
paved to the
and
top of the curve, and
Actually, we did, the state did that.
it is a state road.
It is a state road. We got
And
to
you know,
bear
if
that
this
in mind.
individual, Kate, is unsatisfied with I guess, what the price is,
I don't think there's any
I don't think there's been any
problem with
question
the
about
price,
that.
yeah.
Did the gentleman over on Wall Street, did he pay, what did he pay?
Which gentleman, I'm sorry?
The one we did the sidewalk on. over
You mean
there.
Walnut?
Yes, Walnut.
He paid the materials, we paid the labor, it was within $50 of being 50/50.
That's what it's coming up.
Yeah.
Well,
Where this one would ordinarily be, but because of the fact that the state has come through and very recently paved that road.
Mhm.
So now you have a buildup that you have to,
You have to require some drainage and curbing.
here again, that's why I think this needs a lot of discussion and a lot of research, because some of these sidewalks that we have are on state roads, that being one of them. So I'll make my motion again, that we approve the request that we have right now per our ordinance.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, made and duly seconded, we approve the customer's request on the 16303 of the 2011 law. Is there further discussion? Okay, the chair will, I will call the roll, please, on this.
Mr. Granberry?
No.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
And Mr. White?
Yes,
3-1. Motion carries.
simply because of the fact that we're following the ordinance we have written today.
But going further, it's like, I guess Commissioner Greenberg has a good point.
When they put in my clean out
If the city
drain, they
comes-
messed up my sidewalk, and they have not came back and fixed it, and I've sent in several requests. So I'm not gonna pay for them to fix my sidewalk when they tore it up.
I can't blame you for that either.
But that's what I'm saying,
And then I make, my second motion will be that we table this for further discussion until we can, because we have to set aside a budget for what we can afford to spend. Commissioner Granberry brings up a good point. It was something that it was not within her control. It had to be done, and it's not repaired, so what are we gonna do with that?
Actually, her request should really been taken care of, even outside anything.
Yeah, absolutely,
If the
but
city
it's
tore
not,
it up, the city
so-
ought to be responsible. That wouldn't even be covered in these ordinances. If the city tore it up, they're liable to tear it up. The gas company tore it up, they're liable to have to pay for it. So that should be, that's just common sense. That'd be done that way.
And for 6 years, I've been falling on it, trying to get them fixed.
I can imagine.
So good luck.
Who tore it up? What?
When they put in my clean out drain,
What, in what, the drain?
clean out drain. They put concrete down there, but they just threw it down there.
Okay, so you're, do that and let that.
I'm making a motion that we table this for further study, because I think, again, we've got line item budget, we need to figure out what we're gonna spend, because if we have everybody in this community come want their sidewalks, we can't afford to pay for it.
Well, can we put in there somewhere that sidewalk, as determined by need, will be on a 50/50 basis, with the property owner paying 50% and the city paying 50%. I think that's fair.
Mhm.
I'm good with that.
I'm fine with it.
We'll do a little bit more homework and come back to you with an approach on the ordinance. Is the appropriate thing, Corey, to vote to table the ordinance on the agenda, or?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that so we have a record.
Well, I just want to ask just one thing before we do that. If somebody comes back next week and they want somebody to repair their sidewalk, do they still go under this?
Yeah, the ordinance has not been changed. What we're basically, we presented a proposal because we knew there was some
Okay.
discord, and so now the ordinance is as is until it's changed
Until we
further.
change it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it needs a lot of change. We need budget items,
Yeah, he did.
we need everything.
Well, like I say, these businesses come into downtown area, you're gonna see it happen, and the city is liable for sidewalks. There will be lawsuits, and there will be some businessmen that come if we don't participate with it. This city has always been good with taking care of the merchants, and much better so than me than Columbia's done. They cleaned off our sidewalks and cleaned off our streets, and for us, we got out there and worked hard to take care of things downtown so customers could come in and spend their money, so it wasn't just done for the businessman. The businesses are here for the pleasure of the customers and also for the pleasure of the business, so it works both ways. But we've had a good street department over the years and worked very, very hard to keep their streets cleaned and keep sidewalks cleaned and so forth. Really, the city just hasn't done a very good job of taking care of business on these kind of things.
Mayor, we have a motion and a second on tabling ordinance 2017-1015. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm against that ordinance. I mean,
That's the reason we're tabling.
We're putting it off.
We're putting it off.
Well, I'm concerned about against it.
Well, my thing is to put it off and let's get some, because I think we need to set budget numbers in there. This is what the city's prepared to spend, and that number could change every year.
Well, you all know what it won't do.
And then to your point, we need to get it to say 50/50. And then
That's
that
my
way,
main goal, is put 50/50.
then we table it, we're not approving the one that's currently in front of us.
It wouldn't, yeah, I don't want to interfere with that, but that's fine with me. Okay, does everyone understand the motion? Mr. White just explained it again to me, so, all in favor of tabling this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, that motion's been tabled. Thank you. Okay,
Before you finish, Mayor, I have a couple announcements.
well, let's see, general comments from citizens.
Anybody sign up?
Do you want to say anything else? Nobody signed up? Okay. Okay.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the Barbecue Festival this week is the biggest festival we have in Mount Pleasant, and I think we're all on track on getting everything right where it needs to be, so please come and see that. By the time we meet next month, we will have Lace & Company will be relocated right here next to Too Much Stuff. You can see the construction, and we should have the 1824 General Store open up on North Main Street as well. And we are making movements forward quickly on doing a special census here, doing it in-house, just trying to see, we believe that we have more than the 4,700 people that's been our population for 20-plus years, and very small cost, mainly printing and mailing, and we feel like nothing else. If we find 40 people, we'll cover the cost to do that, and we're all confident that we can find the 40 people. So you'll probably see an article in the paper, and hopefully things get mailed home, and a lot of publicity about being counted in Mount Pleasant because you individually bring more revenue into Mount Pleasant where we can do some of these things that we're talking about with sidewalks and streets and police and fire, and I think we're undercounted at this point. Just wanted you to be aware of that.
One other thing I'd like to add right quickly, and at the end of this is going to be a motion to adjourn, but anyway, everybody that's in the audit, I want everybody to know that as the planning commission that we currently have, at our last meeting, last Tuesday night, as a group, we decided that we were going to begin to meet every other week with only one Tuesday of the month being the regularly called meeting. The reason we are doing that, we are dealing with a 1984 written planning book. And thanks to a great number of the people that now serve on that group, actually one of the other members made the recommendation that we begin to do that so that we can start working through that book and trying to get that up to date. So it's not so, trying to deal with 1984 and 2017 is not fair to anyone. To anyone. So I want to make sure everybody's aware of it because those meetings do not, as I understand it, correct, Corey, because it is not a, quote, called meeting or anything, it's just a work session.
Nothing's voted on.
Nothing's voted on, but I want to encourage you, if you want to have any input whatsoever, about how we move forward with our planning in this community, to make sure you attend those meetings. The next one is next Tuesday.
It doesn't have to, but we've been posting it with the planning commission's agenda.
I asked that question, does it have to be posted?